Hey guys, it's Corey Matthews. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you are here. Again, I talk about hormones and everything you need to know about them to live your best life. I am the owner of Strength and Grace Fitness, and I love bringing you all this content and information so that you can live your best life. In the process of telling all of this stuff, I realized, does everybody know what a hormone is? Maybe not. And so I thought today we should actually talk about what is a hormone. So before we go any further, as always, if you like this content, please subscribe. That makes sure that you will get all the new content as I send it out. So I do have notes because I want to make sure that I get everything in here because this is a little bit more scientific than some of my other stuff and some of the things that I talk about on a regular basis. So I want to make sure that I cover everything about hormones so that you understand them. So I think a lot of times people don't understand when I say hormones, all they think about is you've heard about estrogen, you've heard about progesterone, especially as a female, as a male, you've heard about testosterone, and that's all you know about hormones. But hormones really they are the chemical messengers that make everything in our system work. So they aren't just for reproduction. They are critical for making sure that everything keeps moving in your body. So if you think about that, they are telling everything else to keep moving. So that is kind of the key when we start talking about them. So if you think about it, there's different ways some people talk about it being an intricate web that goes along. Sometimes people even talk about it as like hormones are the cars on a raceway system so that they're going around and about. So that's kind of the difference between the two of them. But they're chemical messengers that are produced by the endocrine glands in our body. So they are starting at a cellular level. They circulate through our bloodstream and stimulate target cells or organs to take specific certain actions. So that's the key. They are trying to tell your body what they want it to happen. Another thing that you could think of is a silent conductors of an orchestra. So they're guiding all the various instruments and telling me exactly what notes to play, when to play, and how to play them. So we can think of, hormones are a key component of all of those. So what I wanted to do is talk about 5 different main functions of hormones. And this is where I'm going to really switch into the female body, since we primarily only work with women. Sometimes we work with men if it's your husband or your boyfriend that wants to come along when you're working on a journey with us to get healthier. But for the most part, it's always women that we're talking about. So of course, I talked about the reproductive system. There's estrogen, progesterone. Some of you have heard about luteinizing hormone, but these are all going to regulate your menstrual system. They allow for ovulation. They prepare for when you're going to get pregnant. So those are your regular hormones that everybody thinks of. That's the ones that they're like, yeah, I know what the hormones are, but there's other hormones. So if we think about that estrogen and progesterone, estrogen doesn't just play a role in just reproductive health. It also plays a role in maintaining bone density. So when we start to talk about women getting older, and you'll see a lot of research that says, women over the age of 40 should be doing strength training. And the reason why is because we want to improve that bone density. So as our estrogen declines as we get older, there's that risk of osteoporosis because that bone density can potentially go down. Now, if you're doing strength training, that's going to definitely help with the bone density. Other ones that we talk about a lot, and these are the ones specifically, these next couple that I'm going to talk about are the ones that we focus on when we work with clients. So those are your metabolism and weight hormones. So those ones are going to be things like your thyroid hormone. So these are going to control the metabolism and tell it what to do. That thyroid hormone determines the rate at which we burn calories, affecting our weight and our energy levels. Then we also can talk about our stress response hormone. So cortisol, which most people have heard about cortisol. You've seen it in social media. You've heard somewhere that is the stress hormone. But it basically helps our body regulate stressful situation. And again, it also plays a role in regulating your metabolism and also reducing the inflammation in your overall body. So therefore, cortisol levels that should naturally rise in the morning and naturally fall in the evening are going to be very important hormones that you need in your body. There's also, when we start to talk about estrogen, it also plays a role in mood and brain function. So as estrogen goes down as we get older in females, that's where we start to see maybe mood, maybe brain fog, things start to change because that estrogen is going down in the body. None of these are bad, or none of these are things that we should totally avoid or, are going to cause issues with us, but they're just things that we should be aware of so that we know what these hormones are doing. Now, when we start to think about these hormones. And I live in LA, so I'm going to use this as a way for you to think about LA. So if we think about LA traffic, everybody knows the traffic here can be horrendous. But when we think about it, if it's all moving smoothly, so everybody is driving home, there's no issues, there's no stopping, that is what we think about when you're with your hormones, when they are, as I like to call them, balanced or optimized. So they are all functioning properly. They're going on the on ramps, off the off ramps, they're changing lanes, they're getting those signals to where they need to be. So those cars are going to their destination, they're doing what they need to do. Now, if we think about a car that pulls over on the side of the road, everybody stops and looks at that car on the side of the road, and it can back up traffic for hours and hours and hours. So now it's not just this one little spot that's causing the issue. It's so much backlog. So if you think about our hormones in our body, that's exactly what happens. So they all play together like this huge, big traffic web. So if one of them is not working the way it should be, maybe it's speeding, going way too fast, or it just stopped, or it completely slowed down, everything else isn't going to work together. So when we think about hormones, if hormones are too high, so we can think about certain hormones like high estrogen levels, for example, can cause mood swings, bloating, irregular menstrual cycles, and it even increase the risk of certain cancers. Elevated cortisol can lead to anxiety. It can lead to weight gain, difficult sleeping, and a weakened immune function. So when we talk about cortisol and balancing cortisol, making sure you're not having too much caffeine, making sure that you're getting enough sleep. That is why we want hormones to not be too high. Now, hormones can also be too low based on your body. So low estrogen for women that are getting older, it can lead to hot flashes, mood swings, fatigue, and a decreased sex drive. If we think about thyroid, which was one of those other hormones that I mentioned, it can result in fatigue, weight gain, depression, and brain fog. So those are just a few changes that we start to see in terms of how do these hormones, slight changes in them, make a change. So again, why is it so critical that these stay balanced then, and how do we balance them? So physical health, so hormones from regulating our heart rate and body temperature to controlling our metabolism and reproductive cycles, hormones are the foundation to our physical health. Think about that mental well-being. I think I've talked several times so far in this little video about how when that estrogen changes, we can see differences in how our brain feels. And then there's long-term health impacts. Chronic imbalances can lead to conditions like osteoporosis, heart disease, diabetes, and even certain cancers. So why is that so important? Why does the hormones work so important? And why is it that it's something myself and Strength and Grace and Stacia Kelly focus on in what we do with our clients? Because most of our clients are women over the age of, I would say women over the age of 30. Majority of them are over the age of 40, but we are working with women when they start to see a change in their estrogen and progesterone as they start to age. So just as we mentioned, those hormones may not be completely stopped on the side of the road, but maybe they've slowed down just a little bit. And if you've ever been in traffic, one car that slows down just a little too much can make everything off. So it might just be at the very, 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 maybe it's just barely close to the speed limit, but not going the speed limit. That little change can make a ripple effect in everything else in the body. So what we focus on is we help women eat better nutritionally and exercise and focus on their mental health so that when the estrogen and progesterone start doing all their crazy stuff, you can adjust. We have clients that will do hormone replacement therapy, and we have clients that don't want to do any hormone replacement therapy. So we are helping them with their nutrition to eat a sound nutritional, wide range of foods so that it balances everything out better so that they feel great. So as those changes in the estrogen and progesterone are happening, we are balancing their metabolism hormones. So we're looking at your thyroid, your ghrelin, your leptin, your insulin. So focusing on a diet that's full in high fibrous vegetables, focusing on really good lean proteins to keep that lean muscle mass, reducing caffeine so that the cortisol levels aren't through the roof. We're looking at the amount of sugar that you're consuming in fruit. So all of this just comes together. So at the end of the day, what I want you to understand is that your hormones, regardless of your age, are very important chemical messengers that tell the body exactly what it needs to do. So when they are off, that is where we're going to have issues. So key component here, if you aren't eating to support your body, you're probably going to have some hormonal issues going on. So we work with women to reset those hormones, rebalance everything, so that way we know that their metabolism hormones are in check. So if you have any other questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. As always, I want to keep these short and sweet so that you know what's going on and you get the information that you need to do. Again, it's Corey Matthews, fitness and nutrition expert. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe so that whenever I put out a new video, you get the content. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye, guys.